Welcome back. This is week 3 of my sports betting videos, and I have a huge announcement today. Are you ready? We are officially profitable. If you made the same bets as me, we would be in the profit zone right now. Look at that. Sports betting got us to profit. It's only week 2, a lot of weeks to go, but right now we are riding high. The results last week, I went 8 for 11. Talk about efficiency. My profit was 42.17K. My biggest win, Emil Heider over Zhang Yong Li. Heider was the underdog of plus 150. Those were the odds. So I ended up winning 25K betting 10K on him. My biggest loss was probably Doshoy Choi. He ended up beating Bill Algeo, so I was on the wrong side of that upset. But overall, not too bad. The new official magic number is 319K. Now for week 3 of betting. I could bet on the MLB games this week, but I am really excited for the UFC event going on this weekend. It is UFC 304, Edwards versus Muhammad 2. So I am betting on the UFC card this weekend, second time. Let's see if I can be as efficient as last week. Kicking it off, I'm taking Shauna Bannon over Alice Angeline. Info for Alice Angeline was very hard to find. I looked on ESPN. There weren't many numbers out there. So this was a difficult fight to make a bet on. I'm going to be honest, the biggest reason I picked Shauna was probably just because she was already favored. I didn't have much info on the other side. But Shauna has a height advantage. That was clear. If Shauna can keep the distance, that'll be on her side. Shauna also is an efficient striker. She lands 55.61% of her strikes. If you're getting hit with just over every other attack, that's going to be a long night for anybody. So Shauna Bannon, starting it off. Next, I'm taking Oban Elliott over Preston Parson. Parson is 3-2 in his last 5, while Elliott is 5-0. Elliott is riding high, that's for sure. Parson has also been TKO'd in 1 of his last 5. After a TKO, or a knockout. Again, I don't know how he was knocked out. The TKO could mean a lot of things, but after a knockout, you might not always come back the same. We've seen that with a lot of fighters over the year. So that's just more of an edge to Oban. The significant strike accuracy is very close, but Elliott lands almost a half more strikes and significant strikes landed per minute. So that slight advantage in significant strikes per minute could make the difference if this fight were to go the distance. If Elliott keeps this fight standing or is suffocating on top, he will win. Preston Parson is good at wrestling. He is good on the ground. However, if Elliott keeps the fight standing, he has that edge in striking. And also, if he is on top and does not make any mistakes and gets caught in a submission, he will have the edge there. For the third fight, I'm taking Muhammad Makayev over Manel Kape. This fight, just to be clear, every one of these is a gamble, but this one specifically is a gamble on Muhammad's wrestling. Manuel will most likely win this fight on the feet. He has a 5.12 significant strikes landed per minute and a 55.64 strike accuracy. He is deadly on the feet, applies a lot of pressure. But Makayev has a takedown average of 5.75. 5.75 takedowns a fight, and a significant strike accuracy of 72.76%. I'm assuming that accuracy is so high because of his accuracy at the ground and pound, but that'll be interesting to see. Still extremely efficient. He has won 3 of his last 5 fights by submission. So if he gets on top, he is going to dominate. Every fight starts on the feet. So Manel Kape, his best chance at winning is keeping this fight on his feet and applying that pressure that he is very good at. However, I expect Muhammad to bring this fight to the ground and dominate it there. For the fourth fight, I'm taking Sam Patterson over Kiefer Crosby. Crosby is much better on his feet. He lands 8.1 significant strikes per minute and has a 68.18 significant strike accuracy. He's deadly on his feet. Expect fireworks early. Expect a lot of pressure early. Patterson is 4-1 in his last 5, with 1 loss by TKO in round 1. That's more evidence for Crosby to come out with extreme pressure in round 1, try and end this early. However, the next fight Sam Patterson had, he won by submission. That was the fight after the TKO in the first round. So he learned from his mistake, and I think he will weather the round 1 storm and be able to beat Kiefer Crosby. On the other hand, Crosby is 2-3 in his last 5. 3 losses were all finishes, 2 by submission. Patterson is a submission specialist and has a sub average of 3.57. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I only have to pick who wins. I'm gonna say Patterson wins this one by submission. The fifth fight, I'm taking Mick Parkin over Lucas Brzeski. Parkin has a 26-pound weight advantage. This is a heavyweight fight, and with a 26-pound weight advantage, that helps in wrestling. It also helps take multiple strikes. When you have more weight, it takes more force to knock you down or for punches to be effective. And 26 pounds is a lot. That's nothing to scoff at. So between the weight advantage and also Brzeski is 2-3 in his last 5, and Parkin is undefeated. So Brzeski has not been hot. Parkin has. It should be a close fight, but I think the weight advantage will be a lot for Brzeski to overcome, and he's really got to flip the script if he wants to win. I'm taking Mick Parkin. I'm taking Prachnio over Bakauskas next. I apologize if I have pronounced any of those names wrong, but Prachnio. Modestas Bukauskas is 2-1 in the UFC. He's only had 3 fights, and he is fresh off of a TKO. I've already talked earlier, coming off of a TKO or a knockout, being finished, it can change a lot of your fight style. You've seen it in Paulo Costa. He's not the same after he was finished by Adesanya. Kamaru Usman, he was not the same after he was finished by Leon Edwards. Coming back after a TKO is not easy, and that's why I'm giving the edge to Prachnio. On top of that, Prachnio is 3-2 in his last 5. His 1 loss by finish was a submission, and Modesta's sub-average is 0. He has attempted no submissions at all. That gives the edge even more to Prachnio, because if it goes the distance, it looks like Prachnio could pull this off. Marvin lands 2 more significant strikes per minute and lands with a higher accuracy than Modestas. He lands with a 61.8% significant strike accuracy compared to Modesta's 43.56. So he's more efficient at striking as well. I'm giving Prachnio the win in that one. Next up, Kaolin Loughran over Jake Hadley. In the UFC, Hadley has never won a fight that went the distance. That is very important for this bet that I'm making. He has 3 losses in the UFC, and all of those were lost by decision. He has never won when the fight went the distance. Colin, on the other hand, has never been finished. 10 fights, he has never been finished. So this fight, chances are it's going to go the distance. Colin has an advantage in everything but reach and submission average. So Colin is more efficient. When it goes the distance, he's going to come out on top. Oh, he lands nearly 3 more significant strikes per minute. That'll give him the edge on the scorecards as well. Next, I'm taking Molly McCann over Bruna Brasil. This appears to be a very close matchup, but Molly has much more experience in the UFC. Experience might be all it takes in a close matchup like this. Cage awareness, knowing how the judges score, just small things like that, feints, just more time in the cage could translate. That could be the decider in this match. Bruna is 2-2 in the UFC, counting her Contender Series match. So she hasn't completely caught her stride yet, and this is a tough matchup to catch her stride. Molly also lands 5.79 significant strikes per minute. Bruna only lands 2.94. So that gives the striking edge to Molly McCann. It'll be a close fight. I'm taking Molly McCann. I think she'll come out on top. Next, Nathaniel Wood over Daniel Pineda. Wood is 4-1 in his last 5 to Pineda's 2-1. Wood lands nearly 3 more significant strikes per minute than Pineda. That is a huge difference. Landing more strikes might be all it takes to win a judge over. Pineda also has an advantage on the ground, but only has Pineda has an advantage on the ground. That's his best chance of winning against Nathaniel Wood if he gets this match to the ground. However, he only lands takedowns with a 25% accuracy. Wood will win if he stays off the ground and out of the submission. A 25% takedown accuracy is not good. If you go 1 for 4, even in round 1, it takes a lot of energy out of you getting your takedowns stuffed, and that could make the gap in striking even larger if Pineda is exhausted from missing takedowns. I'm taking Wood over Pineda. Giga Chikadze over Arnold Allen. Allen has lost his last 2 fights by decision. These fighters are strikers, and Giga has the edge in striking. Expect a standing match between these two. I don't expect any wrestling in this. These fighters have about the same accuracy, but Giga applies more pressure and averages almost 1 more significant strikes landed per minute. This is a very close fight. It was difficult for me to decide who was going to win. Allen's best bet in winning is bringing the fight to the ground, but Giga has never been KO'd, he's only been submitted. But I don't expect this fight to go to the ground. These guys are strikers, and Giga has a reach advantage. He needs to keep the distance and just tee off, use his striking to the best of his ability. It's going to be a close fight, as I mentioned earlier, multiple times, but I'm taking Giga Chikadze. Next, Christian Duncan over Gregory Rodriguez. This is a very exciting matchup. Duncan has 8 KOs, 3 in the UFC, and Rodriguez has 6 KOs in the UFC. This should be an exciting, on the edge of your seat matchup. You don't want to leave because you might miss something huge. In the last 5, Duncan is 4-1, only 3-1 counting fights in the UFC. Rodriguez is 4-1, all ending in TKO. He's finished 4 guys and been finished once. Rodriguez has been KO'd 3 times. Duncan has never been KO'd. To me, that's huge. Being knocked out 3 times, once you get knocked out once, it's easier to get knocked out again. And with the power that Duncan has, that he's proved to have, that small difference in chin strength, we'll say, for lack of a better term, that can make the difference in this fight. Rodriguez has the advantage on the ground. He's a grappler and a wrestler, and if he uses that, he could come out on top. But Rodriguez has a 36% takedown average in his last 5, so he has not been efficient in his last 5 fights as far as the wrestling aspect. And Duncan has the reach advantage. He can keep the fight on the outside if he chooses to do so. So a close fight, very exciting fight. There's, if there's a fight for an upset, there's a lot of fights that could be upset, but Rodriguez probably has the greatest chance of pulling off the upset. This bet could flip on my head with one punch, but I'm taking Christian Duncan over Gregory Rodriguez. It'll be an exciting fight. Next up, you already know. I'm taking Paddy the Baddy Pimblett over King Green. Paddy is 5-0 in his last 5. Some people think he should be 4-1. He had a very controversial decision. A lot of people didn't think he should win that match. But his last fight was a very decisive win over Tony Ferguson. There was not much question in that one. He was very efficient in the top position. King has been KO'd 3 times in his last 7 fights. He's been in the game for a long time. Being finished 3 times in your last 7 is not a good look. It should be a close fight, but Paddy has the submission. He has submissions from all over. He's got a phenomenal submission game, and he is suffocating on top. Plus, even though it's close on the feet, King's aging, and he's been finished quite frequently in his last 7 fights. I expect Paddy Pimblett to be able to pull out and win this one. Next, I'm taking another Englishman, Tom Aspinall. I'm picking him to beat Curtis Blades. This fight has happened, however, it was cut very short. There was an odd injury to Tom's knee. And nobody was happy about how that fight ended, not even Curtis Blades, even though he technically got the TKO. But this is a highly anticipated rematch, and there should be some fireworks. The first 10 seconds of the last fight was very exciting before Tom got injured. Expect the same thing here. This will be very high-paced. Very high-paced. Tom averages 7.72 significant strikes per minute. That's insanely high. Blades lands 3.53. Even that's impressive. And 3.53 is nothing to scoff at. But just the difference between Tom's pace and Curtis Blades, that's huge. Tom also has the higher strike accuracy, so even with all that pressure, he has accuracy. He lands 68.08% of his shots. Extremely efficient, crazy. Tom is a great striker. Again, so is Blades. He lands 60.44% of his shots. So these guys might be eating shots left and right. It could be a bloodbath, something the fans really want to see. It should be a great fight. I also thought Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa would be a very exciting fight. But we're not going there. This one is going to be exciting. Blades averages 2 more takedowns per fight, but Aspinall averages 1.73 submission attempts. So even if Curtis Blades were to get on top, Aspinall has some submissions he can throw off of his back. Tom Aspinall, this is a huge one. He has a 100% takedown accuracy. He has not been denied a takedown when he decides to go for it. That shows that if for some reason he wants to take this fight to the ground, he can choose when he wants to do it. That is a huge, huge card to have in his back pocket. Just to be able to take this fight wherever he wants. I think with that, he can dictate the fight. That's a very strong word, but he can dictate the fight. Whether it's standing, if he likes it standing, which I suspect he will, just with the constant pressure he applies, he can keep it there. But if not, he can take Blades down. He could probably take anyone down. I'm taking Tom Aspinall over Curtis Blades. And finally, for the main event, I'm taking Leon Edwards over Bilal Muhammad. There's a lot of talk surrounding Bilal, and it is well deserved. Bilal is a very accomplished, very good fighter, but a lot of people are taking Bilal for the upset, and I can see why, but people need to give Leon Edwards some respect. He beat Kamaru Usman. The first time he beat Kamaru Usman was with the head kick in the 5th round, one of the best comebacks in UFC history. People said it was a lucky shot. Leon got the rematch with Kamaru Usman, and that was a decisive victory, a decisive unanimous decision. He's gotten better each time he's fought Usman. And Bilal Muhammad, he's a wrestler. Kamaru Usman was one of the best wrestlers, one of the top wrestlers in the UFC. Leon Edwards can beat wrestlers. His takedown defense is elite. He's proven that in his last fights. On top of that, he's an elite striker. So he can keep this fight on the feet, and he can tee off. Bilal's best bet is winning this fight on the ground, but his takedown accuracy is just over 35%. With that efficiency combined with Leon Edwards' defense, it will be very difficult for Bilal to get this fight to the ground. So yeah, I'm taking Leon Edwards. I see why people are picking the upset. I just don't see it happening. And I think Leon Edwards needs to be he needs to be respected more. He definitely needs to be respected more. I'm taking Leon Edwards. He'll keep his belt. That's all for the week 3 bets. We'll see if we can keep it as efficient as last week. 8 for 11 is going to be hard to top, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching.